We all know why we're here. So let me ask you a question then. Why the big secret? Truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we're knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, break it down, now can you peep it? They're deceiving all the people. Let me ask you, what's the secret? Misinformation and lies, a devious disguise. They want the EMF blast until our brains is fried. Oh, point their beams in the sky. Oh, it's a movie now. This world is all CGI. Their plot is truly foul, but we're here to rise up and bring the real. Time is now, truth seekers. Y'all know how I feel. Truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we're knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, truth seekers were really the true leaders. Keep it grooving, the movement like two-seaters. Turn it up, we knocking through both speakers. It's time we get the truth from the big secret keepers. Hey, why the big secret?
Good morning, afternoon, good evening, truth seekers, wherever you may be watching the Why the Big Secret. I want to welcome you here to the show. Of course, I'm your host, Roderick Martin, and we're going to get into several different news copies tonight and what's out there in the news and what is happening in our world of UFOs, UAPs, you name it. And one in particular, we'll start with, there is a U.S. Congressman out there who claims to have seen the footage of UFOs in top secret fashion, but he's now coming out saying that, you know what, we are toast. We could be charcoaled if we were to enter into some type of involvement with extraterrestrials. So we're going to get into that in just a moment as well. Then also, if you are in California or places like that, you might want to know how many UFOs that has been shown and coming out in this year. And you'll probably be surprised that you're probably just walking among some aliens, and we'll get into that as well. And then we'll talk about some of this disclosure stuff and what is happening out there, and got a couple of video clips for you that we're going to get into with the congressman talking. But also, I think somebody took our idea. Yes, someone took the Truth Seekers, Why the Big Secret's idea, and I've always said, if you get an idea, you want to move on it. You want to get out there, especially when it comes down to these aliens and what we're going to be doing. And when you don't do it, you think somebody stole your idea, but actually they just took your unrealized idea. We're going to talk about that and what we need to do as a community to make sure that we're not knocked off anymore and that we take action. So we're going to talk about that as well. And I think you may want to be really, really ready for us to go to war with these people out here when it comes down to the Why the Big Secret community. And so let me hop right into it. If you have not been paying attention, it's Congressman Tim Burchett, right? And this guy has really been one of the outspoken people when it comes down to UFO disclosures, also moving the needle forward when it comes down to trying to make sure that we, the people, have that disclosure that we're looking for, right? But he also started talking about how he have seen some of this UFO footage and what he kind of came back with. And there's an article that we can talk about. I'll put it up here in just a second, where I think it's really important here. This one particular is the congressman has what he called a grim take after accessing the UFO footage. He's saying we can't handle it. He's like, we're not going to be able to handle it based upon what he's seen. And he said, if they're out there, and they are out there, and if they have this kind of technology, they can turn us into a charcoal briquette in no time. So I don't know what you feel about that, right? For someone that's on the inside, that's finally coming out talking and telling the truth, that we have a situation here, y'all. We do have a situation where we think we're the big bad wolf, and then we hear all these stories of us shooting down these extraterrestrials. You get the stories of us engaging with them, and also in some cases winning the battle where we shot down a craft or maybe disable it, all these things. But he's saying the technology that he saw, if we were up against it, we will be toast. And that makes us think about life and how we are subtly around here every day, and we're doing what we're doing, and we're walking with the freedom that we think we have. And when there are some people out there with the power, if they want to come in like a sprayed raid can and hit us like I did those ants that was out there and just wiped out the whole colony. Okay, I wiped out everybody, the queen, the drones, the workers, the whatever, the new ants, everybody was there. I just came in one fatal swoop like a UFO. I was then I came back in when I saw some stragglers and said whoosh, and then I came right back in when I saw two more about to take flight because there was some that had wings and could have been like our aircraft, and I boom, and I was victorious. And at this point, that is a challenge. That's something that we want to think about when we get down to it. So I'm gonna play a couple of clips of some things that he said, which I think is pretty cool. But it is something for us to really look into. Another part of this is that this is one of the reasons that he claims that Tim, Burchett claims that he's saying this is why I am pushing forward the amendment so that people can share this UFO thing. So he's saying that he attends a hearing in the House Subcommittee on Railroads, Pipeline, Hazardous Materials, and also that he's talking about in 2023 in September, they're supposed to at some point begin to disclose certain information. Now, he also claims that he's taking the foundation of this particular bill or amendment or whatever he's putting into place from the JFK files, right? So at some point, just as we are sitting here wanting to know the truth about UFOs, and before my time and before most of all of you time that's watching this, and maybe one or two of you, there was the JFK assassination. So he's saying that there was enough people that started pushing for the truth that congressional hearings was held that now people were, or they were, mandated to give out that information. And so they're going to take some of that particular written law, or however they put it in place, apply it to what we're doing today. And then, of course, since the president is already set, so therefore we don't have a problem with them saying, okay, fine, let's approve this. Let's get this information out. I got a video clip. I'm going to show an interview that he did on Fox News. It's about 4 or 5 minutes. So it's something for us to look at, but listen to some of the language, listen to some of the things that he is saying that ultimately should be alarming, right? When it comes down to this phenomena. And this is one of the things that I've been telling people when we're out here every day saying, Roderick, we got to have disclosure. We want to know the truth. And like he just said right here in his headlines, we can't handle it. It's just something we can't handle if they decide to open up a can of what I'm talking about, right? And so that's something to be concerned with. Let me take a look here in the chat and see who we got and what's going on here to say hello to some of the truth seekers. And once again, if you're in the chat and you see people that are green and they have the little icon, these are members, okay? And these are people that are really noticeably supporting the channel, both with their presence, such as you are if you're not a member, but also through our monthly membership. And so I do encourage you to look at the tab, join our membership, support the channel as we move forward into some of the things that we're working on and that will be good there. So shout out to Roger, a member is here with us. Girlfriend of Bay is here with us. Member Magneticus is here with us tonight. Judith Hall is with us tonight. And let's see who else. Of course, the greatness of Lonnie, the show producer. Infinity Source is here with us tonight. Those are members. Diana, the grandmother of the channel, is here with us. And Truth Seeker Sarantona is here with us as well. Rainbow Light Warrior. And then who else? Saucer is here with us. And if I miss you, April, Calypso, and Nicole is here. A researcher of the team, Lynn. And that'll be it if I will keep going on with the show. So for those of you who are here, thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and bring up this clip, and then I'm going to let us look at it. Like I said, it's about 4 minutes, but it is really interesting, okay? It's I just kind of did a screen record here, so we'll play it. Let me see if I can bring it into the fray here with us, and a video file. But again, I think it's very interesting. It's something for us to see. Actually, I'm going to cut it short. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. We can play most of it, and it's really good. We probably need to watch all of it. Some of you probably haven't seen it. But let's put this in play. Pay attention to it, because it's going to be one part of our topic of our conversation, especially for those of you in the chat. Let's roll this thing.
Tennessee Congressman who sits on the House Oversight Committee, Tim Burchett, joins me now. So, Tim, do you know that the government has this crazy alien stuff and is keeping it from us?
I don't know about that Vegas deal, but the whistleblower, I know him. You know, he's a decorated veteran. I know in Washington D.C. that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, but in East Tennessee that means a whole lot. Those are the Tic Tac videos you're seeing there right now. Those are videos that were taken by American military. That's their gunners, their gunner photography, and they're actually trying to follow those things, and those are some of the best pilots in the world. So either they're lying or somebody else is lying. And so I tend to go with our military men and women. I've been briefed on things, some things I can speak about and some things I can't, but that's probably a meteorite that you're seeing in Las Vegas. But,
so what kind of things can you talk about? You said you can't talk about stuff.
Well, I can talk. Yeah, I can talk about this. Some of these craft that you're watching right there, they have no heat trail. They defy every bit of physics that we know about. They they can fly underwater or swim underwater, I guess, and they basically have no friction, and there is no heat trail, so you don't know. We don't have any idea what's propelling them. And everybody says at first, well, that's the Russians. And you know good and well if Putin had a UFO, he'd land the thing on the White House lawn, probably get out, ride a unicorn bare-chested over to the president and punch him in the mouth, and then ride back to Mother Russia. If the Chinese had it, they'd own us. I mean, in all seriousness. So you're left with one other conclusion. These things are coming from somewhere else, and this has been covered up since 1947 or sooner. And you know, we have military personnel that are decorated veterans telling us they've seen these things. And, you know, we just need to get to the bottom of it. I've added an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act to declassify all things about UFOs and UAPs, because if they don't exist, then why are they hiding them? And if they do exist, why don't we know about it?
Tell me a little bit about how you know that the UFOs fly underwater.
Well, you just saw a video that just showed that right there. There was one that just trailed, and you can listen to the pilots it's called the Tic Tac videos, like the candy, and you can Google it, and it's been on 60 Minutes, and they literally go underwater and they fly out at the same speed, and these have been documented. And the trouble you've got is these pilots are afraid to come forward, even with whistleblower protection, because what happens, and I've talked to these pilots, they've been interrogated for over 8 hours, some of them. And then they're told not to say anything, and of course it ends up on their record. So I've actually spoken with pilots who said, "Look, I've destroyed this evidence because I don't want to have to come back and explain it to my superiors and then be subjected to ridicule." And yet it happens time and time again. And I've been told by some higher ups, "Burchett, we got more important things to deal with than this." And I said, "Well, what's more important than American fighting men and women in $50 million aircraft?" We've had 13 certified close I won't say Close Encounters because that's the movie, but they've had almost near collisions in the air. And this is public record. And yet, when we have a hearing, the Pentagon puts a couple of people in charge of it. Honestly, they couldn't spell UFO. They couldn't stop a 12-second video. Isabel Burchett, my little girl, could have stopped the video. And Adam Schiff, of all the people, I know somebody's head's going to explode on Fox when I mention his name in a positive light, but he said he asked the best question. He said, what exactly am I looking at? Because the video they had was taken with a guy's cell phone inside of a plane canopy, and then they couldn't even stop a 12-second video. The most technologically advanced country in the world. We had the pilot, who was one of the pilots in the Tic Tac videos that had followed these UFOs through the air. He was not allowed to testify before our own intelligence committee. It was open to the public. It was the only one I've ever been able to go to as a sitting member of Congress, because obviously I'm not on the intelligence committee. But the only way he got in, he had press credentials, and they wouldn't even let that guy testify. So you tell me, what the heck is going on? Why are they covering this up? I think the world needs to know.
I do too.
Let's get to the bottom of it. Quit hiding it. And the worst thing about it is the Pentagon's going to come to us and say, and that's what they're doing now. Watch. They're going to say, oh, we need to study this. Send us a few $1 billion. Well, hell no, they don't need to study it. All they need to do is turn loose the files. Turn loose the unredacted files they have.
Turn them loose. And maybe we have another suspect for the cocaine at the White House.
Maybe. I don't know. All I can say is Tim Burchett did not leave that cocaine.
Oh, that guy's hilarious, man. That dude is hilarious. I'm telling you, if it's somebody out there with him, Senator Gillibrand, and a couple others, they be pushing the needle when it comes down to this thing. And like he said, and I've told you before, that it's about the money. And you heard him say they're all about what you see my shirt here. This is a new shirt, a design here, but disinformation, baby. It's the government and false information, which is intended to mislead, especially propaganda, and it's issued by the government organization to a rival or power or the media. So that's this shirt, disinformation. Yeah. And so it's one of these things that is right here in full sight. It's happening right before our eyes. And when you start thinking about it, like I said, it ain't Russia, it ain't China. And I see too many posts. Oh, China, this, stop it, because there's not a country on the planet that's out here that's an adversary of the United States of America who had better technology, won't flex their muscles. They will do it in a heartbeat because we are one of the mightiest forces. And let me bag up for another minute. There is not another country on the planet that have a more fearless military might than the United States of America. So we got the best military, the best technology, and bar none. I don't care what you hear, ain't a country. We don't fear anybody out there except for the person that may have one nuke, not the one that's got a bunch of them, but the one that got one. That's the only one that we fear the most, right? Because that's a silly deal. But when you're talking about these UFOs and you're talking about some of the things that is going down, and he explained it. We once talked about transmedium technology, right? The 5 variables and how they move. But transmedium technology is not on this planet. And transmedium is simply a craft that could go and be in the water, underneath the water, okay? Surviving the pressure of the ocean, come up out of the water, and now it's in the air with propulsion, and it's flying around from air to water, and then have the ability to go straight to space. And then, or it can come from space, in the air, into the water. We have nothing. You've seen a jet, right? You've seen a jet fighter flying around with propulsion. If that fire burner gets into the water put out fire in a heartbeat. It'll stall the engines. And then that thing doesn't have enough, to go into the space. So those are things that technology that these things are presenting to us that let us know they're off-world technology, right? And he's saying it 100%. And so these are things that you want to think about. But once again, you go back to some of the things that he talked about. He saw the footage. He's seen this thing on the back end. Now, okay, I got one problem. he shot my boy down in Vegas, right? He's like, that was a meteor. Okay, all right. So maybe it could have looked like one, and he like, maybe those people didn't see or saw what they did or whatever it is, you know, the 8-foot alien and all of that. Okay, so the jury is still out on the congressman side that he feels it was a hoax. Now, we're talking national security, okay? So if that particular incident qualifies as national security, do not expect for him to be honest, because he can't do it. It's under national security. So he might as well call it fake if this was the real thing. And that's just for us, truth seekers, and we want to keep going and look into what is happening there as well. So another thing that we want to consider is, like he said at the end, they're going to come, they got the footage, they got redacted information. And basically what he's revealing to us, truth seekers, is that there's some implications that people should think about when it comes down to this phenomena. Because he's saying that there is enough evidence, there is enough things that the big secret keepers have that are keeping from the public, and therefore there should be something that we should be, or people should be concerned about when it comes down to this. And that is a question. And once I've said it before, it's not about how they're doing it. That's not important. We should not be focusing on how the big secret keepers are keeping the secret. We should be focusing on the most important factor, hence being why the big secret is why. Why are they keeping the secret from the people, and what is the implications of those secrets? And could it be harmful? Could it be something that we or people should be concerned about? And hey, let's go get those questions answered when you think about that. Now, I don't know if you remember, there was a scientist that decided that he wanted to go look up out in the oceans, right, recently. And, you know, we have objects that fall from the sky all the time, but there was something that came in our atmosphere that was probably one of the most hugest or biggest finds, I should say, of all times, that actually entered our atmosphere, fell into the ocean, which led one of these big scientists that you all hear about go out into the ocean. But he are now claiming that he found some unexpected things out there. And so let's bring that up and let's see what's happening with this deal, because I think at the end of the day, yes, that is Ivy Loeb. Yep, you're so correct. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So this is the courtesy of our truth seekers, Nicole, and research here. So the article is similar to this. So Harvard, I'm sorry, let me get my water right here. Anyway, a Harvard physicist went fishing for an alien probe, and what did he find? So what they're saying, according to this, that this physicist, which is Ivy Loeb, went to the Papua New Guinea, okay, looking for remnants of what he believes is a rare meteor. Now, one that may have originated from outside our solar system before crashing into the Pacific Ocean around 50 miles off New Guinea, okay, the coast. And this is happening back in 2014. Now, he had high hopes that he might, see what carried it, some evidence if it was going to be some alien life, okay? But let's get into a little more details of what he did find. And what they're saying is that he found something more. He not only, found the meteorite that was coming down. And so now let's go back real quickly. We just heard the terminology of Tim Burchett saying what the Vegas family saw was maybe a meteorite, right? Or meteor. So now let's put two to two together. He's saying the Vegas family could have been fake. They saw a meteor. Ivy Loeb, and all these people said a meteor fell, but yet they set a whole expedition to go check out a meteor. But then knowing that this meteor was possibly a remnant of a downed alien craft. All right, so now we got new technology or terminology that they're using. And that makes you then think about it. Why? What's going on with that? And so it's still, all right, it's speculative, but at the same time, why would one side of the fence go spend all of this time to go research and look for a down meteor when the other one is saying, oh, it was just a meteor, and so don't worry about it. But yet we got 911 calls, yet we got people reporting seeing 8-foot tall aliens, yet this story perpetuated itself into the mainstream media, but then over here. So that's a challenge. That's one of those things that make you sit there and you want to think about it. And at the end of the day, you know, you ask yourself, is they're telling the truth? Are they giving the public, you know, the information that we needed? And probably
Hell no.
And so they're not. Plain and simple, they're not doing this. And so there's things that we have to look at. Let me look in the chat here a little bit. All right, so there you go. Nicole says, exactly. What are these so-called meteors? You see what I'm saying, Nicole? And I think people don't take the time to really pay attention to the verbiage that these people use. And then when it becomes unified, that's when you know there's something in the backdrop that's happening. Because now you can change all of the stuff to what people are seeing are meteors, right? But yet they now spending money, and let's get into what this guy saw. He said that he found 50 weird metal spears, no more than a few millimeters across, sprinkled into the sand on the seafloor, maybe spear rules, and Loeb claims them to be a fragment of alien craft. And thus, this is the, listen to me, y'all. They're saying that this is the holy grail of modern astronomy. Hard evidence that we're not alone in this universe. Really? I mean, it's like, again, he's saying, and when I read that, okay, so when I was looking at this and I read, okay, he found stuff, he did this. But when he claimed that this is, you know what they mean by the term holy grail, right? You do, right? So when you hear them say, this is the holy grail, it really gets you to think, you know?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, what?
And I'm like, the holy grail? Are you kidding me? So at this point, so what is it that he truly found? And what did he find that he considered, out of all people, Ivy Loeb, that this was the holy grail? And it's in the water, and it survived since what they knew something fell there back in 2014. So that, once again, that's just the most mysterious stuff that you want to think about, and pretty much from there. And I think it's something that we need to do. I think we need to look into it. Once again, if you want to support the show tonight and you want to be tonight's sponsor or whatever, you can do so. Let me just put the message up on the board up here. That is sitting at the top, the Cash App there for Why the Big Secret. You can support the show in all means, and we appreciate it. So let's move forward on another part of this story. I told you a while ago that I was shocked. I felt that someone stole our idea. I felt that, we either, are slipping, truth seekers. I mean, really, we are probably slipping. Now, I'm not slipping, but I think the rest of my truth seekers and the street team, we may be slipping as a collective because they're out there. And let me play this clip so you can see where I'm going with this and what we need to do as a collective to change what is happening from there. So here we go. Let's check this out.
Welcome back. Let's head to Las Vegas, Nevada for our video of the week, where newly released body cam footage from the police department shows a suspected UFO flying across the night sky. After the incident, a nearby resident called in to report something, quote, 100% not human on their property. So we asked the people of New York a simple question. Do you believe in aliens? Watch.
I think so. I mean, the universe is pretty big.
I think they're out there, but I don't think they'd come here.
Do you think they exist?
Agree, yeah.
They exist? Me too.
I've never
You
seen
don't believe it?
I don't know.
You don't believe it at all?
That's stupid.
It's stupid? Okay.
I feel it's kind of narcissistic to think we're the only planet with life on it.
Oh, they totally exist. And yes, the government is hiding it. Come on.
Do you believe that the government is hiding it from
They
us?
are hiding and they're lying. Don't believe them. They're lying to you.
They got to.
On Twitter.
Really?
They do.
I just saw yesterday they crashed into someone's backyard.
I don't know about aliens.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
But the UFOs?
UFOs for sure.
Who's driving the UFOs then?
That's a good point.
They don't look how people say they do.
A big guy with a big head and bright eyes.
The aliens, oh yeah, I heard they're about 8 feet tall.
We assume they look like a
like something crazy. But I feel like they might even look like us a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe we're the aliens.
And they're the normal people.
Joining me now, former Navy pilot.
All right, so there you go. Now, I'm saying this is what we need to be doing, truth seekers. We got to be out there on the street doing our duty. We got to get out there and get those stories. A lot of you already got your truth seeker shirts. A lot of you got cell phones already. A lot of you can stop and ask some people a question, send that video in the street team from the street team to here, right? And let's do it, because when I saw this, I was like, the guy, okay, he's already doing something. That was our plan. Now, I've already started. Y'all saw some of the clips that I showed already being out there on the street. But we have a massive group. We got 20, well, I don't know, maybe 20 people that is part of the street team right now. And we should be getting feedback from the streets right as we speak. And so I'm calling it to action. I want whoever going to be the first person, get out there in your street team shirt, ask one of these questions about UFOs, aliens, or you can just start with the simple questions. Do you believe UFOs are real, or you think we're alone in the universe? Some just simple questions. Get those answers. Make sure you put the video in this format, so it's widescreen and not like this, because then it'll show up halfway and we can't really use it only for a short or something. But if you do it like this and record it, then in the wide format, a landscape is what it's called, then we can use that. So are we down with the program? Y'all there? And so make sure that you hit the like button here pretty much, and we can do that. So what about right now that in legislation that now things are moving forward? What do you think about the fact that we have, some conflict within our Congress, but there are people right now saying they want the truth. And now all of a sudden we have some new legislation that's coming out, and there's a new deadline, and the deadlines that's going to be coming forward. I think there's going to be a war behind this, and not a war between countries, but within our own internal process, where the subcontractors, black money people, the private contractors, those big, deep, dark projects owners, all of these people are not going to go well with this new legislation. In fact, so let's bring it up so I can kind of talk about it a little bit, and you can see where we're going with that. So at this point right here, UFO legislation is saying that they trying to usher into a new age of transparency. Now, we've been saying that, so we use the word disclosure. And most people saying that, like this article said, it is long past due. But here's the deal. They're saying that with the passage of several amendments tucked into other matters, section of the Voluminous 2023 Defense Bill, that the National Defense Authorization, the NDAA, approved. Listen to me. They approved by the House on Friday. This was a couple of days ago, in a 219 to 2010 vote, which includes the following: UAP disclosure. And what's really good about this is that this particular disclosure is going to require release of what they call known sightings, UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena. Look at the words: anonymous, unidentified area. Then we have UAPs, we got UFOs. Man, there are so, and when they change this legal language, whenever they put this stuff in place, it has a whole different meaning when it comes down to it. But the U.S. government prefer the term of unidentified flying objects. That's what we want to, that's what the public is, and that is UFOs, right? And so now the bill is going to require the Department of Defense to declassify any documents and records that's out there publicly known as UFO sightings that won't compromise national security. Now, keep in mind, I just gave you the code word just now, that won't compromise national security. Now, I'm gonna say it again. And in fact, I got my clip right here, and this is my favorite one. It says it won't, compromise national security.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And it should be the dumbest thing that we should hear, because that means they got an out clause. They have an out clause right now that they can turn around and use this out clause and classify anything that they want as national security. And once again, we're back to square one.
You damn right, wise ass.
And that's the problem. They're going to put it right back to square one, and we're going to sit here once again, try to be like, oh yeah, we got disclosure. They're going to be doing it. And just like Burchett said, then they're going to talk about we need more money to observe these observables or whatever is happening. You and I are going to go and vote for them to get more money, and the stuff continues. We need to say, as long as they're not attacking us, the United States of America, then it is not national security. It is public information. Somehow these amendments need to change that everything of this particular matter needs to become public information, because if they don't do that, then as much as we think and we see in the public that they're going to be moving forward or they're doing this type of disclosure, yeah, they give a mouse a cookie, then they're going to want a glass of milk and we the mouse, and then they're going to think we think we're going to move an inch forward. But I will agree, we are way further along than we were, that we have really surpassed a lot of things from the past that, you know, for information, and then, of course, Whistleblowers Act, all these things are now in play that wasn't in play back in the past, which makes a big difference. But still, they're going to still always have that out clause. What do you think about that? What do you think as the people that, even though you're reading and you're excited, you're knowing that disclosure is coming slowly, but right in our face, they're saying right now that long as it doesn't, you know, be classified as national security, and then there is no criteria to say what is national security, meaning this ink pen, if they saw it floating around tomorrow, can turn around be national security, that we can't tell the public about this floating ink pen, okay? Even though it probably posed no danger. Now, if it's a projectile and this thing is moving at, you know, speed of light like a UFO and it's zipping down through here, it can really harm somebody. So that is something that we want to look at and try to get that better understanding from there. So let me kind of look here a little bit and see. So Nicole said he want them defunded. Yeah. And I think that is the new move right now, is that they are saying that if they can turn around and get, if they can turn around and say, okay, we're going to, anybody that's getting money from us and you don't report what you have, or you don't cough up what you got, then we're going to cut you off. The problem with that, once again, it's a dog and pony show for the public. It makes sense. It makes you think that it could scare somebody. How could it, though, when they don't even know where the money is going? They have no clue when they sign off on these things that the money in the black budget money is floating and how it's surpassed and going around anyway. So how can you threaten somebody that you're going to cut off funds when you don't even keep track of where the funds is going in the first place? And so once again, we, the public, saying, okay, that's a great idea. It's going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. They'll probably be able to squeeze some folks, because there is rumors and probably there's documentations of some of these black op projects that exist, and it's just more undertone conversation or rumors that they know they can verify. But there are some of these projects are deep, deep underground. I'm talking really deep underground. There's private contractors, multinational corporations, and there's no law that we have that can walk into a multinational corporation's office and demand them to reveal their trade secrets or whatever they have, their crash retrievals and everything else. Now, of course, if we can get our hound dogs on it, is what he's saying, and we can find out where money is going and where it's coming from, we have a good shot of squeezing them to come forward from there. So once again, those are the things that we're looking at. Salsa said it may be just as frustrating as them not to acknowledge it. It could be. I think it's one of those things that you want to consider, but I think at the end of the day, we really just don't know, right? It's one of those deals. C. Gray said we will never learn what technology is being hidden because of that clause. That's what I'm talking about. And we sit here every day and we want to literally think that we're going to get that information. Now, what I said just now, what's going to be a challenge. And hear me out. Besides, aircraft, a military might, some of these multinational corporations have their own military. We know this between some of the stuff that's been coming forward from Dr. Stephen Greer and all these companies, whether CIA and all these people. But some of these people have their own military unit. They have their own technology, their own weaponry. Now, it will be probably mutiny if they wanted to go against the United States military and probably destroy them pretty quick. But if it's going to be some guerrilla warfare, some little small time stuff, money against money, they got some power. Some of these people got pocketbooks just as big as the United States government, and they don't need voting to use their money. They don't need to send an amendment in to get it signed off in 90 days, voted on, or can we now use, $100,000 for these type of weaponry? No, they can just, the CEO or whoever's behind it said, don't let them in my door. They have no right on my private property, and they come shoot first. And so these things are things that, and if you think that these corporations, these multinational corporations, multi-trillion-dollar corporations, and they're making money off this reverse engineering stuff. They're making money. Their technology of the company is so advanced that's keeping them ahead of their competitors. And you think the government is going to say, you need to now reveal this publicly? Now we know that this fiber optics or this particular new metal that you're using for guns can go through metal detectors undetected and all this kind of stuff. These things that you're learning from reverse engineering, and you're going to make trillions of dollars, or you got a future plan and all that. You're just going to give it out? Oh, no, not without a fight. I guarantee you it's not going to go down without a fight, is what I'm saying. And yeah, and like Sarah Tona saying, they got their own funding. They have their own money. It's like the movie Coming to America. And the dude said the boy got his own money. He got his own money. And when they got their own money, ain't nothing you could do about that. And so, and now we want to look at what is happening out here, and people like, well, they're not going to tell the truth. Yeah, it's just all about the conspiracy.
This was a conspiracy that had to get all those people to lie.
They don't have to get all of them to lie, but they will get enough of them to not tell the truth when it comes down to it. So what we got to look forward to is that what's going to be happening. They're saying that it also requires the creation of a secure channel. Here we go with another back door, just like the whistleblowers. I mean, this is weird, or I should use the word effed up, but a secure channel for UFO reporting that includes protection of government employees, jobs, retribution, searches for all non-disclosure agreements related to UFO extraterrestrial life, and updates to Congress by September the 30th. Listen to this language here, and let's just say it again. They're sitting here saying they need searches for all non-disclosure agreements related to UFOs and extraterrestrial life. They got to search for this because obviously these things are not public record. So they're only going to be whipped out when they're trying to go to court. Who's going to infiltrate that? Who's going to be the person that, or the spies or the operatives that are going to go out here and start trying to track down these non-disclosure that these companies have? Really, the two people that know it is the employee who signed it and the employee who gave it to them to sign. So if one of them is the whistleblower, why we have to go and spend money searching for these things? But at the end of the day, they're trying to do it. So now these updates need to come to Congress by September the 30th. So I believe that in the next several months, in the next 60 days, we're going to have a wild, wild west when it comes down to some of this UFO stuff. So just watch what's happening, because either there are going to be some snitches. Yeah, there are going to be some competitors snitching. Now, the scary part of this, listen to me closely. Dr. Stephen Greer did the conference, y'all remember that a few weeks back. In his report, he said that he has 160 black op locations, their addresses, all the way up to some of them front door, that are housing extraterrestrial material or black ops program. Why we don't hear about him being a hero? or them saying that this guy has now provided everybody with everything that we need. And so what the hell do we need to go and get a congressional order or amendment from the public to say, let's get out here and get this man or get the money to do this? This guy gave everything. He gave it to him, right? Y'all saw it. Everybody saw it, right? So he was like, okay, I'll give y'all the list of where they at. And it's like, all right. And it's almost like everybody's talking about the same stuff. They all are maneuvering like a chess match before and after everybody. Yeah, have y'all paid attention to that? So when one of them make a move or one of them say something, the other one is saying something. So all of a sudden we got this. So Dr. Stephen Greer goes on national, or not national, but he puts out a press conference. And if y'all remember, once again, he said, here's all the list of all of these places. And he literally said out of his mouth, in some cases, we can get you right to the front door. Right to the front door. One of his witnesses said that, remember, that he went out to some junkyard. Remember the guy? And in the junkyard, this thing comes up where the trash is, and then underneath, where his father was working, where they took everything from him. He's describing the place, where it is, in the whole 9 yards. But yet, we're reading that this new amendment is saying they need updates. And then, of course, now, every fiscal year to 2026. I guarantee you, right now, if we get on a highway with a UFO detector, if we had one, for material, we would probably, without a shadow of a doubt, see them moving stuff around right now. They're hiding it right now. They're moving it to another location, some of these multinational corporations. They're going deeper underground. They're not giving this stuff up, and they're going to fight for it, and then they're going to take their billions of dollars, and then they're going to put it behind a candidate who's going to kill all of this stuff in 3 to 4 years from now. Somebody's going to be in the office and going to go backwards on everything that is done, because all it takes is a movement. Law is law. They can change it. They can come back and hold it up in some federal way they want to do it, or come back and say, let's not go this route. And then who's going to be the people that's going to be in trouble behind it? It's going to be us. It's going to be the people who are waiting for that information. And so keep your eyes open and watch the movement of this, okay? So don't be sitting here thinking we are now, at third base and we about to get there and slide in the home field. We're not going to do it. We may get to a point where you may have to go back to hit the ball again, right? Because it's no game. These people are not playing games. And then the fact that you think they're going to do this, and they're saying, and check this out. Check this out. This is the other part that throws you for a loop. They're saying that they could do this every fiscal year until 2026. All right. You didn't even make it a lifelong law. Most laws in my neighborhood is there, and it's there for a long time. When they pass a law somewhere around here, it ain't talking about we're going to just, you can have 10 ounces of weed until, 2026. No, it's done. You're going to jail. You ain't going to collect $200. You're going straight to jail. Here, we're saying in 2023, we need updates. By 2026, it's going to end. That lets you know this is moving around presidential years, is moving around politics, and all of these things where it can be changed. So by time 2026 get here, we probably don't know nothing anyway, and then somebody's going to say we're not going to improve it. It's just a setup. All of this stuff is a setup, and that's all I'm saying is that we just have to look at pretty much. And like Jen says right here, it also sounds like that they're trying to get ahead of everything that Greer. I would believe so. I will pretty much think that right off the bat, Jen, that is one of their agendas, is to get ahead of what Greer, because somebody took him seriously. There had to be. Our, swimming ducks, Navy SEALs, 3 letters, whatever. Somebody was hidden in that audience and took him very seriously, went to the big boys and said, listen, although we want to play like we don't give a darn, this dude got some serious implications. We need to do a follow-up and go neutralize whatever's happening on the backside. They have to. It only makes sense. That's why we got some of these organizations in place anyway, and they're supposed to do it. But at this point, they will be probably motivated to go and make sure that this information is going to not get out to the public. And that makes sense where, like you said, Grill says they had 6 months to release, or they'll be forced to. So right now, meaning Greer was plugged into what was already happening. So if you think 6 months from July, September has got to be, and then the first fiscal year probably started in January. I don't know how that add up, but that's 6 months from now, okay? So all of this stuff is on the clock, and we got to sit here and start looking at, you know, how's it going to play out? What is going to happen? How would it affect, you know, people's lives? What would it change in your daily routine when it comes down to all of this disclosure? So it's something worth looking at. And I think you should really, you know, just say, okay, that's something we want to do. And pretty much. Now, although we think most of the crash stuff has been happening here in the United States, and then we date back to 1947, the Roswell incident, what if there's people right now claiming that they've had evidence in another country even before Roswell? Okay, they're saying that they have the evidence, and they're saying that they have crashes and stuff that happened in another country. They got evidence, and it was prior to 1947. Meaning, all right, Roswell, New Mexico wasn't one of the first crashes. Now, we know through ancient civilizations and all of those different markers and, you know, content, but we're talking the admitting that a country or somebody. So let's get into that, because we're going to go into this particular place, and let me see where I'm talking about here. These people are in Italy, okay? A researcher says that the first UFO crash in Italy was in 1933. So it contradicts what we've been talking about all this time. And then he's also saying that he has the evidence, and he's an Italian researcher, okay? So it's not like they don't know who this person is and what's going on. Let me get my water, about to drop over here. And so they're not saying they don't know who this person is, but he's an Italian researcher, and he says that he claims to have proof that backs up, or he's saying that recent allegations that a crash UFO was recovered in Italy in 1933. It adds to the growing interest in unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Now we got UAPs there that now includes elected officials and a NASA panel. Now we don't even have to go into this NASA panel stuff, because NASA was one of the same people that was out there saying we don't have nothing to do with UFOs. We don't believe this crap. And the minute the money hit the fan, dear old NASA said we in on it too. So this is why I try to make sure, especially here with Why the Big Secret, that we don't try to focus on a lot of the technology or like I said yesterday, or the last streams of the Navy got some type of, you know, ray gun, or maybe, you know, we can do this advanced propulsion systems. That don't affect none of our lives. Really doesn't. It don't care. It's not going to change nothing for you. It ain't going to change nothing for me. It's going to change everything for them, and they're going to get more funding, and it ain't going to trickle down. It's going to trickle out of our pockets into their pockets. But what will affect us is knowing how many abductions. What will affect us is knowing these things that are happening and people getting brain damage and the medical reports, but they don't put that in those amendments, right? And we're not pushing the needle to ask for the information. I don't get it. I'm like, all right, forget how many pilots saw a UFO. How many people have been reported abductions that you all have investigated and you know it's true? How many people that reported abduction and we don't see them again? We don't know. We don't know if they come back. And by where everybody's up here talking about UFOs and stuff, well, give me the numbers like we're going to discuss here in California. You know, there was a whole number of bunch of UFOs there in 2023 and seen around these beaches where a lot of people are. We'll talk about that. But what I'm saying is, give me a report of how many people who said they have been taken. Their families are still searching for them. I'm not talking about the ones that got brought back. Look, I mean, I'm talking about the ones who didn't come back. Where did they go? And we know it's happening, but yet we don't ask for the information, and we're not going to get that information. And yes, somebody has that data, okay? And so I don't think I'm out here on a limb by myself that this is something that we will worry about, at this point. What's the deal? All right. And so that's something that I think is something we should do. I don't know. So I don't know. But once again, the Italian ufologist, his name is Roberto Pinotta, and he's saying that the dictator Benito Mussolini, see, we heard about this a long time ago. Mussolini got his hands on a flying saucer after it crashed June of 13th, 1933. So the backstory for that goes all the way back, all right? And they're saying they got the proof. They got the proof. But yet, we ain't trying to see all of that. And we already know that our big secret keepers usually take over a lot of these countries that go out there and snatch up some of these things. We're the first people that come over there and get the stuff from them, and we take it. We don't ask for it. We go over there and we take it from them, and then it's national security. So none of these countries are keeping these things there. So I think it's one of those deals to pretty much from there. Dr. Karras says, it's frightening thought to think that our government might have allowed the abductions or even negotiated with them. Yeah, and see, and this is why I brought it up, Dr. Karras, because people are not talking about that. How many of you all even thought about it? How many of you even thought about when you see these amendments, you see disclosure, all you want to know, or most people want to know, is the technology, the spacecrafts, who's driving them, but yet we have not one freaking government legislation that says, talk about abductions, talk about even the ones that did get brought back, what happened to them? How many of those is happening? All right, we could sum it up into the trafficking side of things, right? But what happens of the true, legitimate abductions? And the ones that somebody else called and said, I saw my cousin get picked up by a spacecraft, and they didn't bring him back. He didn't come back. So what do we do? How do we look into that? What are y'all thoughts? And pretty much from there. So Lynn says, I believe that abductions has been happening for thousands of years. I don't believe that we could have done anything about it if we didn't want the ETs to abduct humans. Now, I'm not saying that, and you're correct, I'm not saying what we could do about it, but if you, let's just say you lived in a neighborhood, 2300 Jackson Street, Lynn, and on that street happened to be a, wormhole where the aliens come out, and it's known, not to the public because it's undetectable, but the big secret keepers know about it. And within that area, there's a lot of missing people because they're coming and going. Wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to know on 2300 Jackson Street and that some of these Jacksons look like aliens? All right, anyway. But you get what I'm saying. They changed it to an alien right before our eyes. All of them, just about. Every last one of them. It's like they couldn't keep their shape-shifting forms from the younger years, right? I don't know. But I'm saying, wouldn't you want to have known that information that this is out here? And these are part of legislation that we should be trying to get implemented into these amendments because we need to know. Everybody should want to know. Everybody should want to know what is happening when it comes down to this. Plain and simple. And we ain't got to make that up. We ain't got to make it up at all. We should know. All right. So now, once again, the former U.S. intel official alleged cover-up when it comes down to the Italy crash, and that's nothing new for us, And he's saying that it might have gone unnoticed in the sea of UAP chatter, except for the fact that it appears that Doventel, whoever this guy was, he was a former U.S. UFO intelligence officer for the U.S. Now, he's quote saying, and they talking about David Grush, that I thought it was totally nuts. I thought it was, at first I was being deceived, and it was a ruse. So this how David Grush talked about it, and I'm still, all right, a lot of people are now coming out validating this dude, and like I said, he still got away with third party information and everything else from there. And so I want to thank those folks who have been supporting the show tonight, and just let you know, if you haven't supported the show tonight, that's probably why nobody has supported the show tonight. All right. I love y'all anyway. I love you because you supported yesterday or the day before, or you're going to do it next week or whenever. I love each and every one of you. Like I said, there's a big number of things that's coming out of California area. And there's a lot of craziness coming out of there anyway. So, it doesn't surprise me when I sit here and start seeing the number of UFOs and stuff that has been happening within that particular area. And they're talking right now 120 UFO sightings in California so far in 2023. Now, I could have printed up the list and so you can find out where they are. And I wasn't going to go into that. We've been talking for 2 hours of all of those places. But what they're saying is that if you need a reason to scan the skies in California, here's what they call the Sunday in the World News Day, and saying that this year there has been 120 reports. People, that's a lot of freaking UFOs. All right, I agree that anything flying around in our skies that we don't know what it is a UFO. And I will say that all UFOs are not aliens, okay? However, all aliens use UFOs to get around it, okay? Take that into consideration as we go down the thoughts of trying to figure this thing out. And they're saying that, once again, the all-domain anomaly office, this new thing that we have here. So we had all-domain, we got Arrow, we had all of these things. And by the way, what has happened to Lou Elizondo? Why has he been totally dropped off the map? I know he's working on a book, but he was the hottest freaking circus ticket around not long ago. Y'all know that, right? And you would think with all of this disclosure stuff that's popped up and all of these laws and all this stuff they're putting in place, he will probably be the person that they will come back and say, all right, thank you. Now, thank you for the contributions, Judith and Jennifer. All right. Y'all give a shout out to Jen and Judith. Thank y'all for testing my Cash App, contributing to the show, and much love and all that. But once again, if you do a lot of contributing, listen to me real quickly. If you do a lot, but if you start adding up that one of our memberships will, suffice at that area, or either succeed it or bring it down, and maybe you give more than what our top level membership is, I want you to consider getting a membership. And I know you're probably thinking, why? That's less contributions to the show. It's not the fact that it's less contribution. Well, it is the fact that it is. But just know that the most beautiful side of this is that with the contributions that come through the membership, it's all forecast. I can forecast things. I can see what is happening. It's a little less stress of worrying about trying to fund different projects that we're going to be working on. Just consider that me saying that, because it does help. Now, we're not a church, but then just think about if you are on a membership and then you say, okay, that's the ties to the universal world of Why the Big Secrets and the Secrets. That's cool, but it's not. We're not a church. We're not even close. We're not even comparing the two. But then if you want to do some love offerings, I'm using the terminology, right? But then that's something totally different, okay? And just look at that. But I do rather for you to support the show from there. And if you have not gotten your membership, there's a link right now in the chat. You can get it. I will suggest start at the Truth Seekers area, okay, and up, because that's where some of the membership content will be hidden. All right, so let's get back on what we're talking about and everything else, and pretty much. All right, the Rainbow Light and Tommy, appreciate it, Tommy, and all of you for the contributions there. It just makes me smile. It makes me smile that we're not forgotten and everything else. All right, so, and then, of course, we have the greatness right here of a super chat from Cindy. Thank you. Give a shout out to Cindy, and pretty much we can do that. All right. So, yeah, once again, where is Lou Elizondo? Where is he? We got to find him. He'll make us come back at some point, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. And Joe says, yeah, everyone is asking why Lou is being quiet. It's something for you to think about. It is something because you got to remember, in spite of all of what we've heard, Lou Elizondo is supposed to be the person with the DRIT, right? He was supposed to be the one who knew where the bodies were buried. He knew everything. And yet we're now at the most significant point of this whole journey. And not even a word is his name pops up in the fray of any of this. None of it. And if anybody should be a whistleblower, he should be the freaking holy grail at this point of whistleblowers for what we know from the public. He should have been the first one in line, the last one out the room, and then at the same time, he should have been in place of David Grush. David Grush shouldn't have had nothing on what Lou Elizondo claimed to have known all over this time and have seen. You get what I'm saying? We're not talking about what David Grush said he heard from third parties and what other people said that, and I'm not discounting David Grush. So let me make sure we understand this. I'm just giving you a flow of the concept of what he's saying and how he got his information. And he got his information from other people telling him and who he thought they was credible. Lou Elizondo said, I was in the sugar honey iced tea. I was in it. I was there. I worked on it. I was out there in the field. I'm a swimming duck. I'm in this thing. Why is this dude not there? All right. Y'all get what I'm saying? I'm just talking. Dirt, not drip. Drit. Yeah. So why is it? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. He knows what a dirt. And there we go. So I just would say that there's something that we need to do. One of the other things about this, though, is, I don't know if y'all remember, but last week sometime out there was people protesting, and the people were protesting and they weren't on the side of disclosure, okay? Like we think the whole world is. They wasn't on the side of tell us everything. Some of these people were saying, ET phone home, save the ETs. And this was a protest that was happening a while back. So I don't know if y'all heard about it, but if you didn't, check this out. These people are holding signs, clap the alien cheeks, lock up for what? They like for what? Save the ET from the government. A majority of these U.S. eligible voters believe that the U.S. government knows more about UFOs than, of course, we know the public is head of the investigation claims. But now there's a backlash. These people are saying, leave ET alone. And they're talking about they polling this. I don't know. I ain't never got no poll, to be sitting here talking about they carried out a poll to see how we feel about this and all of this and they sent a survey conducted July the 6th found that 57% of respondents believe that the U.S. government has more information. We already know that. We don't need a poll for that. But they said 21% says they did not think this was the case. And while 22% said they didn't care. Where these polls are coming from? How come we, the truth seekers, don't get the polls like this, right? I haven't seen anything. Have any of you? Have any of y'all saw any of the polls out there about what is happening with this thing? But it's out here, and they're saying that I don't know. I think it's in. They're saying sometimes you can encounter dead pilots. They're talking about Grush again. He's everywhere, and believe it or not, is as fantastical as it sounds. It's true. So, the only thing, like I said yesterday or the day before, the only thing for me. The only thing that humored me out of all of what David Grush said was two things. He haven't seen them, and the fact that they had craft that was abandoned. Man, if that don't get your whiskers going, and it's no different. You look in your backyard and you see an abandoned car in your driveway. You're not trying to call up police and worrying about worth the freaking car. You're going to call, you're going to, say I got this car that's abandoned in my front yard. It's parked in the yard, not on the street. But what you're going to do is go get your weaponry because you want to know where the driver went. Obviously, right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Am I wrong that we are not focusing on the fact that this man said abandoned crafts? Now, it gives you the fantasy of thought, though, that someone's saying we're going to Earth to start a new life. Could you imagine that? Somebody said we're going to Earth. We're going to go to Earth to start a new life. Let's do it. And so, C. Gray, thank you. He said the next is 666, and then the next will be 777, I hope, because we'll get that 666 off the market, right? No problem. No problem. Keep it coming. So, and thank you, C. Gray. Yeah, appreciate it. So, and he, like Nicole said, well, she ain't saw no polls. I ain't seen none either. I know, Jen, talk about clap the alien cheeks. I mean, hey, I missed that. I missed this particular function. I don't know where they held this bad boy at, but man, I would have been rolling, laughing, clap the alien cheeks. Lock up, for what? Save ET. You got to tell me exactly when these events are happening. That's the ones I'll go to in a heartbeat. I want to sit out there and see the people because it reminds you of Independence Day. Remember? She's like sitting up on top of Independence Day talking about, they're opening up, and boy, did they get whacked. So I don't know. I would be sitting out here talking about, send ET back home, and the ET says, I'm going to go home, but you going with me. What if the aliens don't have cheeks? I don't know. Cheek clapping. But that's something worth to think about, I think it's worth thinking about right across the board, right? I don't know. I would think about it and say. But once again, they're retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles. Call it spacecraft. I'm quoting what David Grush said. Non-human exotic origin vehicles that have either landed, crashed, or, like he said, been abandoned. He accused the U.S. government of running a sophisticated disinformation campaign. You see it right here. Hey, I didn't have to make this up, but there's the shirt. Disinformation. Yeah. All right. I don't have this on the website. It was just a personal shirt I made for one or two people. But the whole point, and it may be on the website. I don't know. I don't think we did. But the whole point is, it's happening, and those are one of the things that we have to do. And one of the other things was that, when you think about Democrats and you think about Republicans, you think about the political side of this, I think for the first time we probably could say that this is not, it's going across, in the middle, so to speak. So you heard Tim Burchett, and then now we're talking about Chuck Schumer. He's talking about the release of information. So somehow they're all coming together somewhere. And Chuck Schumer, he's the majority leader in the U.S. Senate. And one of the things that popped up a few days ago, let me just kind of bring that up into our conversation for you, is that he claims that the legislation, they're moving for the release of info for the UFOs. And he, on Friday, July the 14th, that he was introducing a new legislation to declassify the government records on unidentified flying phenomena, or UFOs. He himself made the announcement on Twitter. Everybody's getting in the game. I'm afraid that we may be witnessing the new political weapon of coming up in the next elections. I think that because there's not another hot topic out there, because you got all the other stuff that we've been talking about in elections, that somehow behind the scenes, that this UFO phenomena is moving to be the new hot topic. And if this is going to be the new hot topic, it's going to be politicized, right? And so when you seeing the Democrat majority leader talking about what he has done personally. And you got Tim Burchett saying, our government and Congress, they can't even spell UFOs. And these are his colleagues, by the way, right? These are the man's colleagues. And he's saying they can't even. And so Chuck Schumer says he's introducing a new legislation to declassify government records related to unidentified anomalous phenomena and UFOs as the amendment into the NDD or NDAA and the model after the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, he tweeted. So everybody's going back into this. Now, of course, the support in Schumer is Democrat Senator Mike Rounds, Republican Party, and then you got Marco Rubio. He's in on the game as well, and he's been a supporter of the legislation as well. So they all are getting down on this, but it's kind of funny that they would have to say we're going to go back and we're going to use some of the Kennedy stuff that is out there that we can kind of, put it into effect. So I think that's something that we can look into. My hat sitting over here. Put this thing out of the way. But yeah, so they're claiming that. Oh, let me see it. Oh, you can still see my little logo. Yeah, the little keyhole. Let's put that right there. Boo, y'all. So it's. I think it's worth noting that we're now embarking upon a whole new ball of wax, people. We really are. This thing is going to be good. It's about to get good, if I want to use that word. And Nicole talked about they really want them Kennedy files. I think so. I think it may be something within the Kennedy files, as we already talked about in the past. Was it tied to Marilyn Monroe? Was she about to reveal things that the Kennedy family knew about and all those things? And so if that was the case, that was a problem. So maybe there's some connection, but maybe the language, of course, of getting that out. And even so, how long did it take them, even after they put that amendment together for the Kennedy files, how long did it take before us to get a plethora of release of files, right? I don't know, some years back, but it was like thousands and thousands of documents. We couldn't be going through this stuff for years to come. And it's like it was a tactic, like just give them everything, give them a bunch of crap, and we don't know. I don't know. So I think it's something, again, to look into from there. So what do y'all think? Anybody got any comments? I can look into the chat and see some things today. I just wanted to kind of go over those things. I'm going to be releasing a video tomorrow on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Definitely check it out. It's the time of our live stream, but it'll be pre-recorded. Me and Samuel talking about a few more other things. We will be in the future changing our schedules now that we'll be live streaming Mondays here, Tuesdays here, at the same time that a video documentary style be uploaded to Forbidden Knowledge at Tuesday, so you can always go back and watch it. And then we won't live stream on Wednesdays, and then ultimately we'll live stream mostly our Project Black stuff on Thursdays, and as we getting a lot of information for that. And then eventually we'll do a few Fridays, but my intent is to begin to take off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll be live streaming Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday as a schedule of live stream. And then Wednesday and Fridays, I'm going to start uploading some video documentaries that I'm doing here within the command center and everything else as well. And so that was one of the things that we're going to do pretty much, and just kind of do that. All right, so with that being said, we're going to get out of here. I just wanted to get here, talk about a few things, get us going a little bit. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. As you noticed tonight, I got right into it, so you're going to be knowing to make sure you come on time when I start them at 8 o'clock. And, we're going to cut back on some of our other information in the beginnings and get right into our stories. So if you missed it now and you got here, you can go back right after the countdown, which I'll crop that out. Tonight you'll go right into the show. Okay. And so it's been a plum, pleasing pleasure, as well as a privilege to be here with you tonight. And I'll see you possibly tomorrow night. We'll probably live stream if I get the other video going. And then I got us some conversations that we're going to talk. I'm working on an interview for tomorrow. So once again, if you, I hadn't solidified, but I think we will. It'll be a great interview. A person will be here with us live. But once again, if you're a member, you want to be a member to chat live with the guest, okay? But outside of that, everybody's welcome pretty much from there. If not, once again, make sure you support Project Black, and we will be doing that as well. And so we will be talking about Celeste books tomorrow, so y'all make sure y'all get ready to get you a copy of those things and pretty much as well. And that's it. That's it. So, Plum, Please, and Pleasure. Good night. Love you all.
Why did Ruby shoot Oswald? Was there a conspiracy?
In a world shrouded in darkness and obscured by deception from the big secret keepers, a burning question ignites in the hearts and minds of truth seekers. Why? Let's dive into the abyss of the unknown. Challenge the limits of our understanding.
This bizarre sequence of double killings raised great questions. Who actually fired the shot that killed Kennedy?
Pierce the veil of secrecy.
Cattle found dead and the manner of their deaths are a real mystery.
Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water in Flint.
And venture into the realm of conspiracies and extraterrestrial evidence.
A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Let us consider the question, why the big secret?
To everyone tuning in, let me ask you, why the big secret concealing it from the mass view? UFOs circled in the sky, still get a reply. I think it's time for truth seekers to rise. Hands up if you're feeling how I'm feeling. Spread the truth and start revealing. Knocking down the doors of the big secret keepers. Truth seekers coming through your speakers. What?